Welcome to the special edition episode of Beyond the Forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff Edmondson. We're going to be taking a look at some of the things that you might have been able to see or will be seen in our night sky throughout our autumn months into October, into November, and even a little bit into December as well. We're going to talk about the things that you can see in the night sky, or you may have seen something happen in the night sky. So it's going to be a fun episode. We're going to talk about a couple of different things that you might have seen, and we're going to start first of all with one of my favorite planets in the night sky. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites is Saturn. Saturn is in our night sky. You can see it appear already in the evening sky. If you look off to that easterly direction, the planet will be highest in the sky towards the middle of the night and then working its way lower in the western sky by sunrise. This is the most recent view that I have of Saturn. I haven't had the big telescope out, my 8-inch Celestron telescope, to capture a new image for you. This is about 2 weeks old, but you can see a couple of different features there. First of all, the rings are still close to being edge on. That will change gradually over the years ahead, as it won't be so much edge on. It'll be a little bit more apparent that the rings will be a larger shape in terms of how they look from us. You can see more of a top-down view versus so edge on and so sliced in. Rings are very, very thin on Saturn, but really cool to see that. That little dot that you can see there, that's a shadow being cast by Titan, one of Saturn's moon. Now, another thing that you can see in the night sky coming up are the Pleiades, a beautiful constellation and grouping of stars, a little star cluster. These are about 400 light years away from us here on Earth. You can see these under medium dark skies. Now, if you're downtown, you're under bright city lights, you probably won't be able to see these. But if you're in a neighborhood in the suburbs, or you get a little bit farther away from light pollution, these are easy to see. They're a grouping of stars. They're not too big. If you were to hold your hand all the way out into the sky and you use your thumb and your thumbnail as your gauge, well, that's probably the size that the Pleiades will be in the night sky. You can see a little bit of a bluish appearance. This is from my telescope. This is from Telescope 10. Captured this, I believe, over about 3 hours long. These are several 30-second exposures. Over several hours, I captured that light into the telescope, and you can see the beautiful view of the Pleiades in the night sky. That's in the eastern sky. At first, it'll be rising higher as the time goes along late into the night. And then I don't have a picture yet, don't have an image yet, but we're going to get this soon once Orion's a little bit higher. I have some trees where I'm looking. They're in the eastern sky. They'll rise close to around 10 or 11 o'clock, at least at the time of this recording, but that'll get a little bit earlier. So as we go throughout our fall months and into our early winter months, you'll be able to see that Orion constellation in the night sky. There's a great website that I use, and there's a bunch of different apps that you can use to look for things that are in the night sky. I'm a big fan of Stellarium. So here's a look at the night sky on the night of this recording. You can see Saturn already rising higher and higher in the southern and eventually eastern to southern to western sky. And then if we look a little bit later on, we can see how Orion gets a little bit higher in the eastern sky. Now, if we advance this just by a month, you can see how things really change. So if we rewind a little bit back close to sunset, right around sundown or so is when Orion starts to appear in that eastern sky. We're looking right towards here, this constellation, if you're not familiar. Now, one thing that's really fun about Orion, there's a lot of different things we could spend about talking about Orion, but we have all the stars in the constellation. Betelgeuse is one of the popular ones on the top part of the constellation, as that is a star that got a little bit dimmer, and there's been speculation that maybe in our lifetimes we could see this become a supernova. The star could explode. Now, that's a big question because it all depends on if you consider our lifetime 80 years or if you consider our lifetime 100,000 years. Because if the chances for that to happen in 100,000 years are actually pretty decent from some of the reports I've seen. But in the next 80 years, it could happen. But at the same time, there's a long time for 100,000 years to pass. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, Orion and the Orion Nebula, those are beautiful objects to look at. The nebula located here just on the below parts of Orion's belt. There's other things that you can look for too around Orion's belt as well when we look at Stellarium. So definitely recommend this site or another app of your favorite choice on your smartphone. You can point them right up at the sky and you can see what is in the night sky. Let's zoom it back out again so you can see other things that are in the night sky. Jupiter, we almost ignored that, the largest planet in our solar system, a good planet to help keep us on Earth protected away from meteors and asteroids, because it grabs a lot of them because of its large gravity well. Jupiter, at a very bright position and bright spot in the night sky. Look for it rising in the eastern sky as we go throughout our month of November. There it goes right there, rising high into the sky. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see the whole view of the night sky. If you're facing south, you're almost looking straight up to see Jupiter at this point. So definitely Jupiter will be easy to see, and that will continue to be in the night sky all the way until the sun comes up throughout the month of November. So highly recommend looking at Jupiter as well. Remember a couple years ago when Jupiter and Saturn were right next to each other? Look how far apart they are in the sky now. That's going to keep changing. That's a 30-year time span from when they're close to each other and then when they make that big loop around when they're close to each other once again. So 15 years from now, or 15 years after that date that happened, the planets will be on the opposite side of the night sky. Also, Uranus is out there too. That's next to the Pleiades. Look for those two bodies to be close to each other. You got to have a telescope to see Uranus, so you need something a little bit more powerful to see one of the farthest planets in the night sky. Neptune is a little bit farther away too. Let's see if we can find it. We're going to go cold right in. Yeah, I knew it would be near Saturn. Neptune, the farthest planet in the solar system. Look for that near Saturn throughout the next couple of months. That's my favorite planet to look for in the night sky because that one always has that cool bluish view when you look through the eyepiece of a strong telescope that can capture that. So a couple of different planets to see in the night sky. Venus is out there too, but it's getting harder and harder to see the longer we go throughout the month of November and into December because it's getting closer to the sun in terms of our perspective from Earth. So it's a little bit harder to see that planet because it's so close to the sun, it just disappears in the bright sky of the morning. That's what we have for the planets. There's meteor showers that are coming too. There's comets that we've seen. We're going to take a look at that coming up on the special edition episode of Beyond the Forecast. At the night sky is not just the planets that we can see because we can predict when we're going to see those, but it's also the comets that tend to appear too. Comet Lemmon has been an exciting object to see through the telescope, and if you have a strong set of binoculars set up just right, you can see it through those as well early on. But as we go later and later, closer to Thanksgiving and beyond Thanksgiving, now this comet is going to be much farther away and much dimmer, so it'll be something of the past. But it's been an exciting object to track, one of many objects to track in our night sky as we see Comet Lemmon pictured here. This is a view that I captured from areas in Suffolk looking to the horizon as Comet Lemmon was in the night sky. Now, one thing that is kind of fun about this is that we get to learn a little bit more about how it orbits the sun, because this is something new that was recently discovered. And otherwise, if you didn't have a powerful telescope 1,300 years ago, they probably didn't see it. So let's talk about some of the details of this. Perihelion, the distance from the comet to the sun will be 0.52 AU. So Earth to sun is 1 astronomical unit, 1 AU. The comet will be about half that distance, 0.52, at its closest point. That'll be on November 8th. Then the distance that it is farthest away from the sun, that's 249 astronomical units. So 249 times the length that the Earth is to the sun, it's 249 times that distance. So it means it takes around almost 1,400 years, 1,396.26 years to orbit the sun. So it'll come back, but it's going to be a comet that the next generations will see, and not so much us. But it's been fun to see that. It had a little bit of a greenish tint to it, even though we call it a lemon, the Lemon Observatory. It's more colored like a lime. So cool to see that comet in our night sky. Comet Swan has been one that has been not as bright, not as talked about, but I do have an image from that I captured recently. Check this out right here. This is a look at Comet Swan. So I had to center and focus the telescope on the star in the center. I don't remember the star that I used. I don't remember that part, but I do remember that the comet is right above that. Every time I tried to align the telescope to the star, it was having trouble centering it, so I wanted to make sure it was closest to the center as possible. And whenever you see images of night sky objects, whenever there are so many stars on the screen that you can't count feasibly, like in this image here, there's way too many stars to count. We know that this comet is very dim. So this isn't something that we can see, ooh, look at that. No, it's not like that. It's a little too dim. So we had to use the telescope, we had to use the camera attached to the scope to gather some light in. Long exposures. This was only around 13 images stacked up on top of each other. I believe I used 15-second exposures, so nothing too crazy long for the exposures, and I was able to capture this. It was fun to see it too because as I was attempting to capture it, it was moving in the night sky, so it was moving above that star in the center of the image there. You could see it traveling slowly, but also quickly at the same time since we were so zoomed in on this part of the night sky. So Swan also heading away from Earth, not going to be something that is going to get any brighter, but something that's been kind of exciting. We can look for other comets that are in the night sky too. The interstellar comet that's been very exciting to discuss and hypothesize about, 3I Atlas. At the time I'm recording this, you can see the location of Atlas in our night sky. So it's far away from us. Here we are on Earth, and if you're looking towards the comet, let's see if we can get this aligned just right. You can see Earth, the sun, and the comet are basically lined up. So we can't see through the sun, so this comet isn't something we can observe right now. It is a little bit closer to Mars. As it continues on that zone, it will eventually move out of that position. So we can use Eyes on the Solar System from NASA. That's this website here. We can speed up the time a little bit and watch as the Earth goes around the sun and also as the comet moves away from our solar system, moves out of our solar system. So this is 10 hours of time every second. And we can see how as time goes along, as we now enter into the month of November, and as we look into the month eventually of mid-November and into early December, we can see how the Earth is starting to get a little bit closer. We're catching up to where the comet is in position. Now, this is an interstellar comet, meaning that it's a comet traveling amongst the stars. Where did this comet origin from? Where is it headed? That's a very good question to answer. We don't know those answers. There have been some hypotheses that this comet came from maybe an old galaxy or obviously a far distance away. What is a comet made of? Can we send a spacecraft to it? There's no way. There's no way we could send something out from our orbit into a position to catch up to intercept 3I Atlas. We just don't have the technology and the fuel to blast something that quickly. We'd have to get something basically going towards Jupiter at a very fast pace. But you can see 3I Atlas has been kind of fun to travel into the inner solar system as it's been moving through the night sky. Let's speed this up a little bit. Let's go to 1 day per second. So every second, 1/1000. There's another day. So the storm, or the comet rather, is quickly moving out of Mars's orbit. No threat to any planet. Do you think it's going to hit Jupiter? Not quite. It looks like it's going to miss that spot and miss Jupiter, but it will be at least a little bit affected by the large planet in our solar system because it has so much gravity. Remember, it's the largest planet. Let's speed this up a little bit more. Let's go 5 days for every second. So we can see as a comet is getting pretty close to Jupiter here. Look at that. Look at the trajectory. Ooh, this is getting really close. So if we were in Jupiter's orbit, we would definitely have a really cool show because look at how close those two get right there. Let's pause it. Let's see if we can highlight Jupiter, and let's see if it'll get us towards it. Hopefully we didn't lose the comet. So of course there's Jupiter right there, and we're still paused. So let's see if we can zoom out and find that comet again, if the site will load it. And no, it won't. It's not going to be fun with us, but it's not going to hit Jupiter. It's going to go past the planet, the largest planet in our solar system, and then it's going to move away farther out into the outer solar system. So Comet 3I Atlas has been fun to watch. That comet, not going to be a threat for us on Earth, but it has been fun to see where that planet is going to go next. So let's see. What do we have again right now? Let's see if we can follow that. Let's do it one more time. We'll highlight the comet. Hey, that's what the comet looks like. Well, not really. It's just an illustration of what the comet might look like. What we'll do is we'll zoom this out a little bit. Yes, it could have a tail if it does get bright enough. Now let's go back to the time controls and let's show you where this is going in the longer term. So where were we at? About 6 days per second. Let's go 3 weeks per second. Let's go fast. So there goes the comet heading towards Jupiter. Woo, just missing Jupiter. And then there we go, totally missing Saturn because Saturn's way behind in the orbit. Uranus, no chance to hit that. And then Neptune is way behind too. So this comet, nice fun visit to visit through the solar system, but it's on its way out. And then as we look into April and May, now we're in June, July of 2027, this comet is still in our solar system, but it's essentially something that'll be very, very difficult to see as it won't be probably giving off any gases or any type of eject into the solar system. So this comet will eventually fade away from visibility, but still hanging out in the solar system for a little bit longer, at least until maybe 2028 or so. So fun to see that. A couple other things that are in our night sky. There are a couple of galaxies that are in our night sky. We're going to take a look at that. Some more images from Telescope 10 and more fun things you can see in our autumn skies as our nights are almost at the longest time as they are in the year. We'll be right back with more in the special edition episode of Beyond the Forecast coming up. Telescope here to capture in the night sky are the galaxies. This is looking at the Triangulum Galaxy, or Messier M33. Messier 33. The Pinwheel Galaxy is also another nickname for it. I have 13 hours of light on this. Fellow astrophotographer George Konkoff, you've seen on other special edition episodes of Beyond the Forecast, he's been helping to guide me along and helping me to get practice and how to really process these images. So I apologize. This could probably be a lot cooler looking. We'll bring it full screen anyway, but I think it still looks really good. But in terms of the colors and working my skills with Photoshop, that is a long ways to go. So we're going to learn how to do that together as I gather these images. But I can gather the images, whether if I can process them or not, that's going to be the ultimate question. But a beautiful view. The Triangulum Galaxy is 2.73 million light years from Earth. So when we're looking at this galaxy, we're looking at what the galaxy looked like 2.73 million years ago, because that's how long it took the light to get to Earth. If you've ever been in a large field and you've seen someone, it's a good example, you've seen someone taking a hammer to a stake to hammer it down, and you can see them hammering it before you hear the sound. That's a delay from the sound, but you can still see it pretty much instantaneously. When you see a firework explode in the sky on 4th of July, you see that explosion and then there's a delay in the sound. There's the delay in the sound. But when we're looking at something that's so far away from us, now there's a delay in the light. And that takes 2.73 million years from this galaxy to get to here. There's estimated to be about 40 billion stars in the Triangulum Galaxy, and the distance across the diameter is around 61,000 light years across. So it has a pretty wide distance or diameter in terms of its width for the Triangulum Galaxy. This is my image that I captured through the telescope just recently. Another galaxy that's a little bit closer to us is Andromeda. This is 2.5 million light years away. The Triangulum Galaxy, or the Pinwheel Galaxy, the one we just looked at, was 2.73. So this is a little bit closer. It's part of the local group of several galaxies. And this galaxy is closest to us here on Earth. Now the diameter is a little bit larger than the Triangulum Galaxy. This one is 152,000 light years in diameter. This is one of my first times capturing the Andromeda Galaxy through the telescope. I believe this is captured over one night, maybe two. I don't remember that. Both galaxies may be seen under the darkest of skies. So what are dark skies in the night sky? Well, you can look at the light pollution. So light pollution shows you how much light is bleeding into the sky. This is the lightpollutionmap.app website. When we have the colors of white, you're under Bortle 9 skies. You want to be in a darker sky to see Andromeda or to see, I would say, the Triangulum Galaxy. That'd be really tough. You got to be under some dark skies. So if you're in Windsor, you're still under skies that are around Bortle 5.1. If you go to Wakefield and outside of Wakefield, you might be able to get to around 4.4. So you're doing a little bit better if you can go into those areas. Where I've watched the Northern Lights from, you got to go into these areas if it's a dimmer show. If you want to stay close, you can get to around 4.2 Bortle in these locations. Other spots that you can look at, you have to go much farther away. You can go up into parts of northern and western Virginia, into the mountains, and you can get Bortle down to around, well, that's a brighter area near town, but around 3.3. So you're looking really dark, and you can clearly see the Milky Way starting to faintly appear at that type of night sky. You can even find a couple of dark spots on the Outer Banks too. If you want to go around, these are areas that are uninhabited, so you got to go in between the towns. But if you go to spots in between Rodanthe and Avon, you can get to Bortle 2.6. So there's some dark spots in those areas as well. So there's a couple of spots you can go to into North Carolina on roadways, and you can find some very dark skies. Here's Bortle 3.5 just east of Columbia on the way to Roanoke Island, going towards the Outer Banks from areas near Plymouth and Alligator. So night skies and light pollution, definitely a critical thing to look at when we're trying to see things in our night sky. I always recommend trying to find a dark sky if something like that is happening. The meteor shower is also another thing that you can see under the night sky too, but you want to be under those dark skies. So if you want to look for something that looks like this, where you can see the Milky Way, where you can see more stars than you can count, and if there's a meteor shower happening, those are the spots that you need to go to if you want to see those fun things in the night sky. Meteor showers coming up. If you see any meteors that are flying through the night sky in the month of November, the Taurid meteor shower peaks November 5th, or it peaks in November, excuse me. That's where we get 5 to 10 meteors per hour. That generally peaks during the early parts of November. The Leonids, that's in November too. That's around November 17th. So if you're looking for meteors then, you can maybe get around 10 to maybe 20 meteors per hour if the sky is nice and dark. So a couple of fun and cool things to see in our night sky in the autumn. I hope you enjoyed this special edition episode. We ran out of time. We didn't even talk about T Corona Borealis. That's a giant red star, actually a giant binary system, 2 stars, where there's a red star and there is a white dwarf star. They interact with each other, and there can be miniature supernova that we can see. It happens roughly every 80 years. Now, if that's going to happen, we're going to have a definitely special edition episode on that, and I'll let you know how to see it when that happens, because it'll only be visible for about a week or even a couple of days. Enjoy the night sky into our autumn months as the night sky is a little bit longer, and happy holidays.